and welcome back to HoopSpeak Live. I'm your host, Beckley Mason. I'm here with Zach Dele Harper, and we're not here with Ethan Sherwood Strauss. As we speak, Ethan is in a one-on-one performance review at his office job, and I wonder if taking an hour to sneak off to an unused room to talk about basketball on the internet is going to come up in that little evaluation. But although Ethan isn't here, the NBA is. And that's right. After a very, very public labor battle that threatened NBA fans with nuclear winter, this will henceforth be known as the Mark Cuban Missile Crisis. Cooler heads prevailed, and we once again learned that humans cannot reach peace through compromise and reason. We need mutual assured destruction to assure cooperation. But now we can put all that ugly fall behind us. Today we're going to focus a bit on the CBA and what it means, if anything. We'll talk free agency. Dwight Howard, Chris Paul will certainly come up. And we're going to chat with True Hoops' Henry Abbott and from Sports Illustrated, Zach Lowe, about just everything that's happened in the last 4 months is going to be encapsulated in this 60-minute episode. Zach, I know you must be happy knowing your loyal Daily Dime minions will be there to feed your unquenchable thirst for attention. So what's on your mind now that the season is back on?
I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I was pumped the other night. Friday night, I may have been imbibing, legally, of course, because I'm 29 years old, at a bar, coming home at 2 a.m. Central Time. We're about to drop off friends at their apartment, and I check Twitter, and the lockout is over. I yell, I get to go back to work. Amber thought I was just drunk and had no idea what I was talking about. And so got home, got on the old internet, rejoiced with fans all around the Twitter. I think I stayed up till about 5 a.m., got up at 6:30, went and played basketball, just running on pure adrenaline and joy, and a little bit of vodka still left in me. And it was just absolutely, it was a joy. I was on fire, mainly because I was no longer playing depressed. I was happy again. And it's just fun to have this basketball community happy once again.
Yeah, it certainly lightens the mood. And with that, I think we should probably start yelling at each other again. So let's bring on Take the Bacon. And Ethan is not going to be judging this one. James is going to swoop in from the ether to rule. But Zach, you've got the topic, and it's an interesting one. It's a doozy. Why don't you tell us what it is?
I don't know if you've heard, Chris Paul, Dwight Howard, they're going to be free agents after this season, if they so choose. They both have opt-out clauses. There are rumors today that Chris Paul's agent is asking for a trade on Chris Paul's behalf. Dwight Howard clearly doesn't want to be in Orlando anymore. So the obvious answer is to trade these players. Get what you can for them, deal them away to wherever they want to go, and take the assets that you can, as many as you can get. Here's the problem with that. If Chris Paul really wants to go to New York, like they're claiming today, there's absolutely no asset they can get. Landry Fields is a heck of a nice player. Seems like a great guy. I love his work with Andy Routens on the old YouTube machine, but he's not good enough to build around. And you can't get any first-round picks from the Knicks. There's just nothing to trade for. Dwight Howard, you can get a lot for him. You could trade for a package of maybe Eric Gordon and assets from the Clippers. You could maybe get Andrew Bynum and Lamar Odom from the Lakers. I say don't do it. Somebody has to take a stand and say, if you want to leave us, we're not going to do it. We're just going to gut the team. We're going to rebuild. And, you're going to have to take less money to leave us. I think you can sell that to the fans. It's not an easy sell, but I think you can say, hey, they don't think you're good enough to root for them, so they're going to leave. We're trying to keep them. We're not going to facilitate letting them leave. And I think you have to take a stand at some point if you're going to change the competitive balance of everything.
Yeah, but I think taking a stand by, self-immolation is a little bit different than taking a stand by actually taking control of the situation and trading them. I'm not, I admit, completely familiar with these two players' particular abilities to block trades, but look at what the Knicks had to give up to get Carmelo. Is there something out there that they can get? I think you have to shop them aggressively and see what you can do. You know, Lamar Odom and Andrew Bynum are nothing to sniff at in exchange for Dwight Howard. Now, those two players will probably cost more, ironically. How dare you snip at it? How dare you? Who gave you the right? But, you know, with Chris Paul, I think the bigger issue is right now we're getting all these rumors primarily from his agent. He's saying all the right things. His agent is stirring stuff up. This is just what agents do. They want to increase the leverage of their clients, which is something that no matter how restrictive the CBA gets, the best players are always going to have a tremendous amount of leverage because everyone can pay them the same amount. So I think that you're never going to be able to bully the players. You have to kind of work with them and also be willing to move them and get as much as you can. Now, with Chris Paul, I think you might be onto something, because if you drop Paul, that team is going to win about 8 games, and then they might be able to draft a couple good players in this next upcoming draft. But with Dwight Howard, I fear that their coach and some of those players would be decent enough to keep them out of the top 10, which would basically negate any benefit of getting rid of him.
I mean, it would be... I mean, Stan Van Gundy is a hell of a coach. I think he's very underrated. I think people attribute too much of the success to Dwight Howard and don't realize how 50-50 that situation is. You're not going to win if Hito's your best player and JJ Redick's your second best player.
Probably not.
Orlando they have a history of getting the number 1 pick. They've had the number 1 pick 3 times in the last 20 years. You know, luck seems to be on their side.
Let's just let it all ride.
Yeah.
We're going to get the number 1 pick again. Just let it ride. We'll give up Dwight Howard.
You get the number 1 pick,
last 2 decades.
You draft a guy, and then 7 years later, he leaves you for everything.
It's a flawless plan.
I say you just keep going.
It is a flawless plan.
If you trade for Andrew Bynum, his contract, it ends in 2013 if he chooses. So you're just going to have to go through the same thing over again. Why keep going in that cycle? Gut the team, be as bad as you can, and redraft.
Yeah, so you're just saying extend the cycle. Instead of extending the cycle from 3 years, you want a 7-year cycle.
Yeah, I love arguing with you. I could
the
just
number
kiss
1
you right
pick,
now.
which everyone does.
I think I have to give this to Beckley just because I like the idea of getting back Andrew Bynum. I know that it's a risk that, again, you'll be doing the same thing with Andrew Bynum in a couple of years, but I think that's a really hard sell to the fans, because if you're telling them we could have got Andrew Bynum, but we're just going to let Dwight walk for nothing, I think that's more difficult than the Hornets saying, well, Chris Paul is saying only to the Knicks, so we're not going to have that.
A vote for an Andrew Bynum Lamar Odom trade is a vote for a Kardashian.
Zach, that's my message. No bacon for you. Dancing leather suitcase full of bacon that used to be yours and is now mine. So there you have it.